What's going on, pastors and church leaders, HGM family? My name is Pastor Jay. I pastor Compassion Church in Florence, South Carolina, and I'm bringing you guys a model for what we call wave events. And if you're not familiar with what a wave event is, wave events take place 3 times a year. And so what a wave is, it's those days when folks naturally come to your church. You don't have to do all this stuff. You don't have to, send all these postcards out, do all this marketing. They're typically going to come, and those days are Easter, which is coming up. So that's what we're talking about today. We've got a fall wave, which is when our kids tend to go back to school in the fall, and a Christmas wave. But today we're talking about an Easter wave, and the waves are continuous. We treat the Easter, the fall, and the Christmas wave the same. We're going to talk about what a wave model looks like. And so a lot of folks think about a wave, you think about this thing that rises up, right? It gets momentum, it gets bigger and bigger, then it peaks up, and then it crashes. So we've got the process on the wave as we start promoting the wave 4 weeks out. That's when that wave's starting to get going good. And so in this 4-week out process, we call that the front end of the wave. And so we don't just say, hey, the wave is coming. What we're doing is we're trying to prepare for what we know is coming. All right. And so a lot of your marketing takes place in there. You're casting vision to your people, to your body. Hey, we're going to have folks coming for Easter. It's going to be a big day. We're trying to rally the troops. You may want to be intentional about teaching them how to evangelize during this 4 weeks out on the front side, trying to get there. Your marketing can be on point. You can put, if you want to put signs up in your town, you can do that. Your Facebook marketing, your Instagram marketing, your social marketing. If you want to have signs to put out in your yards, all that stuff, we can do that on the front side. And we're trying to get the word out and get people excited. Even though they're already coming, we want them to come to our church because why? We feel like we do things well, right? And so we're trying to get them into our church so we can minister to them. But the goal to the wave is this. You want to do 2 things. You want to create guest flow. You want folks to come through your church. They're coming, right? And you want to double attendance. So if you're a church of 50, your goal should be to have 100 folks that day. And what that lets you know, it lets you know your potential. Hey, we could be a church of 100. We could be a church of 200, whatever that looks like. And our goal is to double. So as that wave begins to rise, and you're rallying the troops, you're telling them, hey, go invite your friends. Let's pray for people. Let's send invite cards. You can go through the drive-through and pay for somebody's meal and have an invite card attached to the next person. There's all kind of creative ways that you can invite people to come to your church for the wave, okay? So that's the front end of the wave. You're trying to create that momentum. You're trying to create excitement. You're trying to cast vision. You're doing all these things because you want to get the guest flow to maximize in your church. And what is success? If you can double, that is a very successful wave. So that's what we call the front side of the wave. Also, those first 4 weeks out, when it comes to your announcements, focus on the wave. We've got the major announcements we can announce, but if it doesn't have to take time from the stage, let's focus on the wave that's coming. And our next one is Easter. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you this. Do you have anything prepared to start, say, the first couple of weeks into March? Are you prepared to start the marketing? Are you prepared to start your inviting process to folks to come to your church for this upcoming wave? Second thing is the day of, all right? So the day of the wave, that's Easter. Everybody's coming in, right? They're all excited. And I know you pastors out there, you're going to preach a dynamic message. You're going to present the Easter story like nobody's business. You're going to kill it. I know you are. But a lot of folks think, man, we had all these people, right? We had a great service. Worship was awesome, man. People were praying. The pastor brought an awesome message. What a great day. And I agree, it is a great day. But that's not the end of the wave. That's halftime. And so where a lot of us fail is we celebrate the wave and then we just quit working. We don't think about the backside because the wave does what? It rises and it crashes, right? It goes up and it goes down. So our job, our goal, our purpose is to, when it gets here, we know it's going to fall off, but we still got 4 weeks on the backside, just like we had on the front side. So the front side was all about, hey, get the word out, cast vision, market, get folks in. And on the back side, it's all about connecting people to your church. Well, I think I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit there. So let's talk about the day of. The day of, folks need to have a good first impression. When they come on your property, what do they see? What do they feel? Is it exciting? Is it lively? Are people nice to them? All right. What kind of impression is made on them? All right. Secondly, we've got to get guest cards, whatever you call them. We don't want to call them visitors because visiting means they're going to come and they're coming and they're leaving. All right. We like to say guests. We've got to get those guest cards. And there's different ways to do that. Some churches, they have a great team and they can identify all these guests. All right. They see people walking. Sometimes you can see them coming in there looking around like they don't know where to go. Hey, that's a guest. Get on them. Some folks, what they'll do is they'll say, we've got this gift over here. You can register for this gift. Put your name, your email, and phone number. If you get it, we'll call you. You can gather information that way. Some churches say on wave events, everybody is filling out a card, whether you've been here for 20 years or if it's your first time, because they don't want to let any guest fall through the cracks. Whatever your method is, if it works for you, it works for you. The thing is, it doesn't matter the method. What we're trying to do is gather all of these guest cards that we can. Go over the top with your service that day. I mean, be overly nice to people. And this is what you got to do. On that day of, how many fishermen do we have out there? Or fisher women, right? And when you get that bite, what do? You got to set the hook, right? You set the hook in that fish. You got to set the hook in the people because they're there in your service. They've had a great experience. They've enjoyed a great service, dynamic preaching, like I said before. So what's next? So when we talk about setting the hook, what are they going to come back to? What is it that's going to get them to come back? What is it? Is it a sermon series that you're preaching on the backside of Easter? Is it a message? Is it an event at your church? A big comeback, a big hook set is kids ministry. Lots of times you can have a big event in your kids area the Sunday after one of these wave events, and we call that a comeback. You're setting the hook there. I also know a lot of pastors out there. Some folks say, hey, let's put all of our budget. I know we're talking about finances now, but let's put all of our budget into our wave day. Well, the more you do that, the more you realize we could put half of our budget in our wave day and put the other half into our hook, our comeback event. And I promise you, you'll get some better results from that. So the day of, we're at halftime. It's not time to break. It's not time to breathe. It's time to, we're still hitting the ground running. So you got the front end of the wave. You got the day of, which is halftime. And then you got the back end. All right. Do not rest on the back end. It's very important. All right. We are trying to get these folks connected to the church. We've got our follow-up team. Man, they're reaching out. They're making phone calls. They're sending cards. They're sending emails. They're having dinners. They're doing all these things. We're trying to get people to come back and be connected to the church. And one of the best things you can do is have what we call a connect event. And so what that is you have, let's just say you have a meal at your church. You have all your staff there and your ministries represented at this meal. And you bring all these guests that just came in. You share a meal together. You share ideas with them. You let them know opportunities at the church that you guys have and where they can get plugged in. Craig Rochelle says this, everybody needs one of two things, to be needed or to be known. So when we try to connect people, we try to either connect them to a group, a life group, which is where they find friendships, or to a job, serving in a department somewhere where they find a purpose, they find that job. And when they find a job, guess what they're going to find? Friends. And if they find friends, guess they're going to find a job. So they both work off of each other. And that's how you get folks connected to your church. And I think it's very important to track, if you can, track your first serves. When people come in and they take that first step and they serve at a ministry, track that because you now know, hey, they are connected. They have bought in. You can track attendance, but man, those first serves are big. When they go to that group, that's big. When they begin to give, those first gives, that's big. That lets you know that they have bought in and they have connected to your church. How do we measure success of a wave? Well, we love ministering to people, right? We know that we're going to get to minister to people. We have a big day. We celebrate that. That's great. But a true success rate a way to measure success for a wave is what is your success rate of the guests that came through your church? What if I told you it's not even a big number? It's a small number. You only have to connect one person out of every 10 people that come through your church. One person out of every 10 guests, that's 10%. 10%, that's not a big percentage. But can you imagine if you doubled in your attendance and you connected 10% of those people, man, imagine how much your church could grow. You're not just growing your church, you're growing people. You get them connected to a friend, to a group, to a job, to a purpose. That is what a wave event looks like for us. So it's not just a day, it's 2 months. It's 4 weeks, the day of, then 4 more weeks. And then, guess what you can do? You can rest. You can breathe, give your team a break, do whatever you have to do. But I promise you, this is a promise, all right? If you work this wave model, your church will grow. It will grow. So I want to encourage you guys to try it. If you haven't tried it, try it. If you are doing it, hey, how can we make it better? I just want to encourage you guys today that you can have a healthy wave event at your church if you apply this model. I love you guys and hope to speak to you soon.